Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to a new episode of the GDM Show. On today's show, we're going to be discussing how to convey the message of Islam to Hindus. With me on the show, I have brother Salahuddin Patel. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you doing, bro?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. So, yourself, you're from a Hindu background. You accepted Islam. So, a lot of people, when they're trying to convey the message of Islam, a lot of duaat in India, duaat in East London and other parts of the world, I find that a lot of them are born Muslims, so they don't know exactly how to convey the message of Islam to Hindus. They don't really know the background.
Yeah.
So, since you're from that background, what advice would you give to people when engaging with Hindus?
Bismillah. That's a really good question. I get this question. This is asked a lot when I'm out there giving the dawah. How do you give dawah to Hindus? And if you look at the sort of traditional methods that we see, some of this more sort of famous duaat, what they tend to do is they tend to go to the scriptures. They may go to the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and try to pick out verses to convey the sort of message
Of
Tawheed according to their scriptures. But I find that this is not a very effective method. Number one, because Hindus, most likely, they are cultural.
They haven't really read the books.
They don't even know the names of the books.
Okay, that's quite bad.
They don't even know
That's worse than Christians.
Yeah, so it's pointless sometimes pointing to scriptures that they've never read, because essentially, when I was growing up in the 80s and the world was a different place at that time, I was just like any other typical Hindu boy. I would just follow my family's traditions, culture, and we lived in like a close-knit sort of community. And like any child growing up, you just tend to follow what your family and their sort of culture tell you. You take them as an authority. So that's the way most Hindus are. You don't really question things. It's only when you get a bit older and when you start looking at life. When I was at college, when I was at university, started questioning things, looking at things from a sort of rational, logical sort of perspective, I began to realize certain concepts in Hinduism just didn't make any sense.
Okay, that's quite interesting, because most Hindus that I have come across in this country, at least, are from very professional backgrounds.
Yes.
Doctors, engineers, they're very professional people, very intelligent people,
Yes.
and very career-focused, family-focused and intelligent. So it's interesting that you questioned the faith, when a lot of very intelligent Hindus don't actually, they just go along.
Yeah, this is an important point that you make, because, like you said, a lot of Hindus, they are very professional, they are very intelligent. A lot of them are very good at sciences, mathematics, engineering.
Teachers, yeah.
And teachers, and this requires a lot of logic, a lot of rationale, a lot of intelligent way of thinking. But when it comes to sort of religion and culture, they seem to just ignore that. Because some of the core concepts in Hinduism just don't make any sense. For example, one of the core beliefs when it comes to sort of the ideas in Hinduism is this idea of pantheism.
God's everywhere, basically.
Yeah, God is within everything.
Yeah.
So God is within this room, God is within the creation. And, for me, I just accepted that growing up. But as I got older, I started to sort of question the logic behind that, the understanding that does that really make sense? That how can the creator
be inside his creation,
be within the creation? Because if the creator is the creator of the universe and everything within it, then how can he be within it at the same time?
Yeah, it's kind of like you make a table.
Yes.
But you're distinct and disjoint. You're not in the table.
Exactly.
You're separate.
The carpenter doesn't become the table.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So from that perspective, as I was growing older, and some other aspects of idol worship, some aspects of the stories within Hinduism, it just didn't make any sense. But I just, because I didn't know any better, to be honest, I didn't know much about other sort of faiths, I just tended to continue and follow this sort of religion from a cultural perspective, because you have to understand, Hindus really identify themselves according to this religion based upon their parents, not from a sort of religious theological sort of background.
So your main sort of advice that I get is that stick to Tawheed, explain that why that is rational rather than going to the scriptures. Now that obviously makes sense, just sticking to the main point in Islam. But a lot of Hindus, they find it very difficult to even consider the possibility of changing their religion. And there may be some Hindus who are watching this now who may like certain aspects of Islam, certain aspects of Hinduism may not make sense to them. What advice would you give to someone like that, especially since you've been through some of those very difficult experiences of people who leave the faith?
Yeah, I mean, Muslims, new Muslims from all different sort of backgrounds that accept the religion face a lot of challenges, for example, abandonment from family and friends, losing one, sort of having an identity crisis, being neglected, being isolated, and these are real problems, that and challenges that new Muslims face. But for me, like, coming from my perspective, the sort of advice I would give to people who are interested in Islam, who may be from a Hindu sort of perspective, like myself, first and foremost, we understand things from a logical and rational perspective. So when it comes to the concept of God and pantheism, especially, just like we just discussed, it doesn't make any sense.
And no polytheism for that matter.
Yeah, and polytheism just doesn't make any sense. So from that perspective, it doesn't make any sense from a logical perspective, but also from a theological perspective. When someone came to me and gave me the information about Islam, and I learned, the understanding of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, but also from the Quran itself, because the Quran also teaches He's unlike anything else. He's distinct and different from the creation. So the creation is distinct and disjointed from the Creator, but the Creator is all, in all control of His creation. So from those two perspectives, from a perspective of rationale and logic, but also from a theological point of view, this just made perfect sense with what I already believed in.
It was like fitri.
It was fitri. Yeah, I didn't believe in the concepts of Hinduism, but I never denied the existence of God. I had this, like you said, fitri thing within me, something that within me that was guiding me, and it was until someone gave me the sort of message of Islam that it all fell into place. And I would say, look, yes, you are going to face a lot of challenges. When I accepted Islam, I was afraid. I didn't know what to do. How were my parents, how my community going to take it? So I hid it from them. I didn't tell them straight away. And you can do the same. If you believe this to be true, then just you can accept it, because the relationship first and foremost is between yourself and your Creator. And then when you think the time is right, then you can open up and tell your parents.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I left it for a little while. And then what I realized was, when you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator, because He's the Creator and in control of all of His creation, He'll make it easy for you. And like today, I have a great relationship with my parents, and in fact my sister, she accepted Islam as a result. So,
Put your trust in Allah, essentially.
Put your trust in Allah, and use your mind. Be logical, be rational, go to the text as well, and look at the theological understanding of our purpose and our creation and the Creator, and things will fall into place, inshallah.
Okay, excellent. I think that's a very good summary and very valuable information for people that want to convey the message of Islam to Hindus. So Jazakallah khair for coming on the show. Inshallah, you have benefited from this. So like we do in each show, we give you messages, explanations about how to convey message of Islam to different people in societies. Just as a summary of today's show, when giving dawah to Hindus, stick to Tawheed, don't go to scriptures, and remember that they may face quite a lot of difficulties, so tell them, look, don't be open about accepting Islam for now, tell your family later. Jazakallah khair for listening. Assalamu alaikum.